Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Order our scented beard oils and beard balms to help you maintain and grow the perfect beard. Order today. Try our men's care products like the full body exfoliating cleansing bars, body wash, smooth stash, and more. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. We're your luxury but affordable men's care line. And remember,
Rugged is the new smooth.
What is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to another great episode of our Smooth Club Podcast, the show where everyday men discuss everyday topics. Do us a favor, subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, all that good stuff. You can check us out on all major podcast platforms. We talk about iHeart, Spotify, Apple, and you can also check us out on the Global Vision Network on Roku. We truly appreciate it. Now, I'm your guy, Arrington Gavin. With me, I have Mr. Jonathan Jones, Ciroc Fox,
Yo,
Zach Johnson.
What's going on?
Gentlemen, how's everybody feeling today?
we good. I'm low-key
Yes.
jealous of the amount of thigh he's serving right now.
It's too much time. I don't know.
It take a lot of confidence. It take a lot of
I'm about to say it's hot as hell. It's hot as hell.
Catch me
We
wearing
try-
pants.
we
mad.
tried to get the fan in. We tried to get the fan in.
I got the
so
light
maybe-
skin jeans on. I'm upset.
Look, I tried with the fan guys, so hey, JJ, good for you, because JJ gonna be cool while we all sweat. But it's all good though. It's all good.
We good.
So how's everybody's week been going?
Everything's been good, man. Everything moving and grooving.
Awesome. What about you, Ciroc?
I got
a couple shows you've been.
Yeah, I did a few shows, man, but I got attacked by my car before the show.
What?
In 20 minutes, I broke the windshield, or not the windshield, but a window of my vehicle. And I had glass all over my arm, my shirt, my neck, and I had to go on stage and tell jokes for 45 minutes.
You locked that blunt in the car, huh?
10 points for JJ. 10 points.
Man, so the keys was on the passenger seat. I reached in a window that was kind of cracked to try to, man, it just exploded all over me. I was bleeding on the stage. It was horrible.
Show must go on, man.
Yeah,
Hey, I know that's right.
Beyonce would be proud.
Or Jasmine Sullivan.
Ooh.
Whoever has had their period on stage before, I feel like I
Oh my
related to them.
gracious.
I related to whoever had, like, if you're menstruating right now and performing, I feel you. I understand. Bleeding on stage ain't fun.
It's not. I don't think it will be. Anyway, guys, so Sierra and I, we left the cable family and we now strictly stream platforms, right? And we going crazy. We know Discovery Plus, Paramount, YouTube TV, Netflix, Amazon. And I'm looking at all this and I'm like, because I was hesitant at first. I'm like, man, am I gonna get all the channels that I really watch on cable TV?
Yeah.
And then I realized I'm like, I only really watch like 3 channels anyway. But when we started buying the platforms, I'm like, it is so much damn content until I'm like losing my mind. It's like an encyclopedia of content. Because like platforms now are starting to purchase channels and have like 10 channels just on one platform. So yeah, man, it's a lot of content. And do you think it's gonna be like a new platform that's gonna come out and be like, hey, look, we're better than all of them. We got this one going. Or do you think it's already?
People try. If you remember, there's been a few like what's that? Quibi.
Mm-hmm.
Quibi tried. They tried their hardest, but the game is too late. It's too late.
6 months, maybe.
It's too late. There's been a few people who tried to build up their own streaming platforms, but
some deal with them or something. I want to say.
a lot of people did.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
The news CNN tried. They tried to do their own little CNN Plus. That lasted like 5 months, something like that.
Well, like when you go on your smart TV and stuff, and you add in the different apps, they always, a lot of times they have like the different channels on there too. But then it'll be linked to like your, cable subscription or whatever. So how is it with that, man? Like if you're gonna get rid of your cable, like, do you feel like it's more expensive to just buy different, subscriptions, or if it kind of adds up to
I feel like at the end of the day, I'm gonna be adding so many platforms. I'm gonna be probably paying more than cable. But I don't have cable was like damn near $200 a month. At least I was paying. So
I never had cable for years. I mean, it's been so long. Last time I had cable, I was watching Cartoon Network, Adult Swim Channel.
True.
So maybe 5 years ago. So I stream everything. So with Netflix, Hulu, my wife got Discovery, Paramount, and then my kid got Disney. I mean, everything that I can think of.
It's a lot of shit.
It's a lot of stuff. And then if it's not on those 5 platforms, I just bootleg it.
Yeah.
I bootleg the fuck. I stole so much movies, bro.
This ain't coming out until next year. Well, I got the scoop.
I got the Chinese version right now available.
Does it come with subtitles? No, you just got to figure
No,
out.
the subtitles is in Mandarin. Come on. Still a good movie. Still a good movie. Black Panther 2 was amazing. Come on.
You feel the vibe. You know what's going on.
You know it.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
that's funny. That's funny.
That's what's up.
So, fellas, like, what's your go-to? What are you watching right now? What's your binge watching shows at the moment?
Finals.
Oh, the NBA Finals?
NBA Finals.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah,
Now, this is
even
a
though my
pre-recorded
team-
show, so probably, the finals aren't going to be exit. But it's all good, though.
You're right.
It'd be
It's all
over by
good.
then. It'd be
Thanks for
over.
bringing that up.
That game last night was.
So
It's just a pickup basketball. All they do is
Real
chucking
time.
threes up the whole time. I'm like,
Let me tell you
bro,
something. All I see is nothing but rigness. They always want to do it for the TV ratings, and hey, they have those
Too many
contracts.
people bet on this game.
They
Hell
shot
yeah.
so many
Yeah.
threes last night, bro.
And
It was ridiculous.
it was bad, man. But hey,
Well-
I think it's gonna go to Game 7. I personally think it's gonna go to Game 7.
Oh, they make that.
That's how they get
money,
the most
though.
money. You're right.
Yeah. So I
Game
think
7,
it's
that's
gonna go to
everybody
Game
get
7. I don't know who's
paid.
gonna win it
Down to the ref.
I don't know who you think gonna take it home.
Man, so
It's over by now, y'all. It's
my
over.
team is. I'm a Lakers fan. So
Jeez,
yeah,
let us have
it's
this moment.
over.
Fine. Okay, finals, Zach. Thank you for starting that up. Jay, what's your show? What are you watching right
I
now?
mean, honestly, YouTube. I watch YouTube more than anything.
Facts.
You're a YouTube watcher for real?
Yeah.
What do you look for?
It's like car
Podcasts.
vlogs, music vlogs.
I don't know.
and
Besides
stuff.
music videos, I can't get into YouTube like
There's
that.
a lot of stuff up there. Interesting.
Like I like watching live podcasts.
That's what I just
Yeah.
any kind of podcast I'm watching on YouTube, but no like actual like shows like no
Ozark.
Oh,
Okay,
Good
Drink
shit.
Champs. Drink Champs. Okay,
Good stuff.
I
Good
forgot
stuff.
about that.
Yeah.
I was
Drink
watching
Champs.
Stranger Things, so
I haven't watched Stranger Things. I
That's
haven't got
good.
onto that.
Yeah, I
yet.
haven't started that.
What is Stranger Things
it's
about? Can
pretty,
y'all like give me a heads up? Like
graphic now. It's just like this girl. She has kind of like these mind powers, and she opened up this like upside down world, which is like a parallel universe, and like all this monsters and things are getting out and possessing people.
That's actually a pretty good way to describe the movie.
But this season that just came out, it's like very graphic and like kind of horror themed. Like
Yeah, when the season premiere came out, I was on Twitter. Everybody was like, "Yeah, I'm scarred by that opening
Yeah.
episode."
It was
They got to try to
definitely
top. You think about
yeah.
it, they opened up the gate with some fire ass
now
episodes.
it's like
That
now
show
I
was
wanna
good,
watch it,
Yeah.
but
so
I
it's
don't
hard to
want to. There's a
top.
lot of
Yeah.
people that get. When a lot of people
Yeah.
get something, I'm like,
because I thought that because they're having 2 more episodes in a month because they didn't get done on time. But then I thought that was it. But they're having a season 5 too. So
Yeah. And then and what I like about it is, so most of the time when shows have, like they go back to like the 70s, 80s, like black people disappear. And every now and again, a show will add a token nigga just to be like.
just that one person,
Right, and so the black guy in this one, the black guy in the group, he don't feel forced. Like he fits in the cast. He doesn't feel
Gotcha,
like the
gotcha.
token. Like, oh, we had to cast him. It's like this is not a token nigga. This is a good actor. So
Okay.
I like the show. I like the show.
I'm gonna add it to my list. Ozark is definitely probably the best thing I've seen on
I've
television.
sure.
Ozark is a good. Well, because I'm all about like seeing unique content. I feel like TV has such the same theme: crime, doctor shows, and that's what.
is Ozark not crime?
Huh?
Is Ozark
Ozark
not
Well,
crime?
I don't mean like crime like that. I'm talking like Law and Order crime and like
Yeah.
Chicago PD and that kind of crime. Ozark is like on a part of like I look at mafia base. So like your Godfather of Harlem or the Sopranos. Cartel. Yeah, there you go. Cartel.
Godfather
So that's
Harlem, that was.
but would you say there's other shows that are like similar to Ozark? Like this I've seen this
Narcos?
before.
Narcos. I didn't finish
Yeah.
that. I fell off on that one.
Yeah. Once it went to America, I was like,
Yeah,
eh.
I fell off.
I didn't watch the second one. It wasn't like a
When
second.
Escobar died, that's when the show
yeah.
was.
I didn't even make it that far.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What about
No,
Queen
it
of the
was
South?
dope.
Y'all, I heard a lot about Queen of the South. Did y'all watch that one?
I've been hearing good things. I haven't tuned
I'm
into
so
it
blank.
yet.
I don't know what none of you.
I'm about to say, what you watching, Ciroc?
I'm an anime watcher.
Okay.
Yeah, I watch anime. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. For some reason, these stories get me so emotional. Like these are some of the most intricate, complicated storylines I've ever experienced in my life. I feel like I'm awoken to a whole new world of content.
I feel that.
Yeah,
I dabbled
man.
in that.
That's how I feel. I don't feel the same.
Death Note. You seen
Yeah,
that one?
Death Note fire.
I
Right,
watched the
my favorite of all
Netflix
time
version,
is
like
One Piece.
the real live version,
Of
and
Death
then I
Note?
went to the anime.
It's about when you write a person's name in this book, and then the person ends up dying.
Because I didn't know it was anime at first.
Damn.
But like there's
Crazy.
like a
But it's
like
from
a
an
real
anime.
person
Dude.
movie version on Netflix.
Animation. It's where it's at. It's where it's at. You want real content? You want some? Okay, it's not real. But if you want, if you want a real story that'll be like you don't want to cry, but you can't not cry.
Yeah.
Like you can't not cry.
I feel that because, lately I've been watching a lot of shows that my daughter watches, and, she's one, so it's like cartoons and stuff.
My man,
but when you really
you watching Sprout show like
but when you really lock into the storyline, I'm like, oh, wow, that's...
The storyline be crazy.
And streaming, like streaming came back, and so we got to watch all of our old shows. The old shows do not hit nearly as good.
When I
just stopped, man. I was like, I'm really
when we got Disney Plus, I was like, oh shit, they got even Steve. Wait a minute, break. I'm like, oh shit.
I could watch those, but like some of the cartoons, I tried to just watch an episode or two. It just was.
It was not hitting the same. It's not.
What about SpongeBob? Does that still hit?
I mean,
I can
SpongeBob was like
timeless. It's like hard because
Y'all watch SpongeBob?
Oh,
yeah. You gotta watch a little bit of it. Come on, you don't like none
That's
of it.
wild.
I mean, I've been like searched to
When they
watch
sing,
it, but,
all right,
like,
I know all the singing episodes. When SpongeBob busts up, no, when they was in the stadium.
Go ahead, acapella. Go ahead, sing acapella. Go ahead.
When SpongeBob was in the stadium clowning, that's the one I watched. That's the one I watched. I YouTube that though.
The
That's
Krusty Krab pizza was mine because this man sings all music genres, rap,
really
soft
did.
rock.
And he was fighting through like snow and all bad weather conditions and everything.
No, we are not going to sit here and talk about how SpongeBob is some strong, righteous, third eye individual
It's good
who is
show.
persevering through all his struggles in life.
No.
Like we said, go back to the storyline. When you look at it from now, but the man persevered, bro.
And all the shows have a meaning. All the episodes they trying to teach the audience
Some
something.
dirty meanings.
SpongeBob go push.
Some of them got some dirty meanings now.
You think
Yo,
SpongeBob
wow.
gonna get me too late? No, I'm joking.
Yo,
There's
wow.
gonna be some lawsuits on SpongeBob in the future.
Yes.
Yeah. So, guys, I forgot to mention, the guests that we have coming on the show later today. We have Mr. Chandler Nunnally. Chandler is the new co-host of a show called Coast Live. It's a lifestyle daytime talk show on WTKR, which is a CBS affiliated channel. Doing great stuff. He actually has an awesome story. I can't wait to talk to him about. He's also co-host of a podcast called Act 3 Podcast, where him and his co-host, they review a lot of movies. So I want to get his intake on, movies in the past.
So he's like a movie critic.
Yes.
That's good. That's
I like
good.
it. I like it.
I want to see how many black exploitation films he watched. Has he ever watched Friday? Has he ever watched Next Friday? Has he watched Friday After Next? These are the real questions.
Do you know Pop? When I say Pop, do you already know who I'm talking? No, I'm joking.
Finish this sentence. Bang!
You win some, you lose some. Oh man, look, he's gonna be old man.
I'm sweating now.
I'm excited to have him on. But before we do that, I gotta shout out our sponsors. First of all, Ingenious Gin, black-owned, veteran-owned gin, smooth as I don't know what. Reggie and Lawrence, you're doing your thing. Hey, for all you gin drinkers out there, and you see, JD's grabbing the shoe crazy wine, but yeah, if you're into gin, and it's a unique gin, it's a rose gold color, so very unique. Be sure to follow them on their platforms. Go on their website, ingeniusgin.com, or wherever you can. Your spirit stores or ABC stores, hey, be sure to support Ingenious Gin.
Best
Also,
gin in the game.
moving on to Shoe Crazy Wine, another black-owned wine. Her daughter, mother and daughter team have some great stuff. So whether you like red, white, you got your Chardonnays, your Cabs, all that good stuff, they have it there for you. They're also stepping into the spirits with a whiskey, a moonshine, and vodka. So, hey, they continue to grow the game. They're based out of Richmond, Virginia, doing great things. We truly support them and thank them for, for being a sponsor, believing in the show. And then also, Mr. Luke Haskett, better known as Dapper Luke, the Dapper Luke Collection, keeping you suave, whether you're a men and women with amazing
Freshest
suits.
chocolate in the game right there.
Right.
He said it, we didn't.
if you want to see, if you want a great custom suit, you know, if you're in the Hampton Roads area. Hey, you know, no.
All right.
The man do got swag. Let's be real. He got swag. Luke is like, thank you, fellas, thank you. But yeah, if you're in the Hampton Roads area, be sure to check out his location out in Holland Road. You can also go on his website, Dapper Luke Collection, do an online consultation. The man travels. He's done, a Slutty Vegan. I don't know if you heard he's dressed the owner, the founder of Slutty Vegan, out in Atlanta. So, Luke is doing it, and he's a vet too, man. Retired Navy. So awesome dude. Yeah. So again, we thank our sponsors as well. Yeah.
I'm a master of my mind. Manipulate the masses with motivation to move. This is the only chair I'll volunteer to sit in. Spinning and spinning. Each loop past the mirror, I see a better me. In true destiny, confidence is key, so these 2-week cleanups won't be memories. Hey barber, do you think it's possible to reshape the temple that holds my thoughts? Shape up in the hub makes me bold my walk, cause sometimes a lineup could be your savior. Do you think it's ironic that I can monetize my work when I stick to the master plan and get my taper? No more thoughts of getting burned by the system, and this new product doesn't burn my taper. Thank you. Let's normalize uncovering our bodies from that sheet, and we look stunning when it comes off. Cause we are masters of our mind. Manipulate the masses with motivation to move. Each cut allows more and more room to grow.
But guys, we're gonna move on to the guest segment because I want to have some fun with Chandler. So we're gonna bring out Chandler. He's back there drinking all of our alcohol. I hope he can function. I'm just saying, jeez Louise.
Yes, all right, ladies and gents, we have with us Mr. Chandler Nunnally. Before I really do the big whole intro, I gotta tell you a little bit about you.
All right. He definitely mumbled his name.
I did.
He said, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chandler.
My mouth was getting a little dry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so after starting in WTKR in 2017, Chandler joined News 3 as a production assistant, eventually working his way up to being in a director position. His favorite show to direct was always WTKR's lifestyle show, Coast Live, which allowed him the freedom to be creative and help showcase the fun side of the Hampton Roads community. One of his proudest achievements was directing a live officiated wedding on live TV, which eventually won the show Creative Excellence Award from the Virginia Association of Broadcasters in 2020. Now,
big time.
After all,
Thank you.
Now, after almost 5 years at WTKR, Chandler has done a little of everything at the station. His desire to learn about every side of the TV industry eventually led to the opportunity to host the show. He has spent years directing Coast Live, a show where he, alongside his co-host April Woodard, get to show the fun side of Hampton Roads every weekday at 9 a.m. Chandler's thrilled, yada, yada, yada. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen,
Shout out April, man. I like her too.
April's great. Yeah. She's tremendous. I tell you what, that's funny. I realized as you were reading that's the corporate mandated bio I had to write for myself when I got the promotion.
I actually had a lot of work right now. Why
you just copied and pasted.
That's great. Did a lot of work,
The story of me as told by me. Thank you so much for having me, guys. You guys are hilarious. I'm really excited to come and talk with you guys. And you said you had a dry mouth. My mouth is not dry thanks to this lovely ingenious gin. It's delicious.
But man, look, thank you so much for coming and just, again, hearing your story, how you started, 5 years behind the scenes, and your true goal was to be in front of the camera. And how was the opportunity when you did kind of?
Yeah, I'll take it from the beginning, man. Mm-hmm. I was like a kid that I didn't really have any drive. Okay, went to Indian River High School, graduated 2012, class of 2012. Hey. But I went to ODU for a while to study music. I was a cellist in the orchestra. That's the one that looks like this. That's why I did that. And I thought I wanted to be a music teacher. And I actually I didn't graduate from ODU. I dropped out, man. And because I just I lost my motivation. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And, college is very expensive. I couldn't afford to keep going. Still got student debt and no degree. And you know, I had played music in the community for a long time here as a drummer, a self-taught drummer. And I still do that from time to time. Got a gig next week, actually. But, you know, one of the things that I had done over my years of gigging was I had played on this this local access show on for the city of Chesapeake. You know, every city has like their own department of communications, and there's always like these shows that, you know, essentially nobody watches, but they're there because
Chesapeake TV.
Yes,
I watched.
Yeah, it used to be called WCTV. I was on a show called Thinking Out Loud with Mark Cox. And so I called those guys and I was like, hey man, I'm like vaguely interested in the field of TV. I don't know anything about it. Do you have a job? And they were like, no. But they said that I could come in and learn stuff for free.
Oh, wow.
So I just went in and volunteered my time. They taught me how cameras work, how sound works, lighting, you know what I mean? I got all this great experience. And I worked for them for about 9 months. I did a few paid gigs as well. And then they hooked me up with a job at WTKR, man. Just, you know, word of mouth.
Wow.
I got in there, interviewed. I was so nervous. And I worked behind the scenes. Started off part-time. It was $10 an hour at the time. You know, just helping produce the news shows mainly. You know, being out on the floor, giving cues. You know, working the faders, all the fun stuff, the fun behind-the-scenes stuff. Never did I dream of being on camera. That's what I'm getting around to, you know, and I worked myself up to being a director. I love film, as you guys alluded to earlier, you know, I love film and TV, especially film. And so like being a director, I was like, well, this is a great end game for my career. You know, get to be the one who like makes the decisions and directing live TV. It's not like directing a film at all, but it's really, really exciting. I mean, live TV is like the most exciting thing in the world to me. And I just kind of had this opportunity, started about 6 months ago on Coast Live. Just this opportunity that opened. We were going through some changes with the show. And one of my bosses, shout out to William, just mentioned like, hey man, is this a thing you'd be interested in? You know, I'd had the podcast, Act 3 at the station for a while, which I really loved doing. We did it for 3 years. All the episodes are still up. You can find it. Okay. As you did, and thank you for that. But yeah, man, I never dreamed of ever being in front of the camera. And it was so scary at first. You know, the first time, I filled in for the first time with Kristen Crowley, who's a big figure in our community. And I threw up the morning of that taping. I was so nervous. I threw up, drove to work, acted like I didn't throw up. And then that show went pretty well. And then like a month later, man, I was, you know, officially on the show as the new co-host.
That's so dope. Like, you are hosting with April Woodard. Now let's just kind of backtrack who April Woodard is.
Right.
I mean, like 15 years as a correspondent for Inside Edition, BET News, Entertainment Tonight, all the top heavy hitters in New York City. And she, you know, I mean, we're blessed to have her coming back to her hometown, host, you know, being hosting there. But you're, you know, she's an Emmy nominated host. And you're alongside with her on a daily show where people, I mean, what, southeastern Hampton Roads and northeastern of North Carolina. So that's a pretty large audience.
We have a big demographic here. You know, we measure everything in, it's called a DMA, but it's a market basically. And in the television world, there's about 200 local markets. And this year, I think Norfolk is market 46. So it's pretty high. We're in the top 50. It's a great place to start your career. I'm extremely lucky for that. But yeah, you know, it was scary at first, but you know, April and I worked out a great vibe. She's very generous as a co-host, and we don't have the same style at all. But I think that helps. You know, she plays like straight man to the stupid bits and jokes that I do. So it really works out well. But you know, it's really cool to get to come here and talk with you guys in a more laid back setting. Because podcasting is how I got started, and
yeah, we're extremely tipsy. Well, I
am. Again, thanks to ingenious. But yeah, you know, this is cool, man, because I would never be on the show if it weren't for the 3 years of like talking into a mic on the podcast. Because I mean, you guys know. It's a muscle that you build, like talking, and even if it's not live, like, you know, a podcast is recorded. I used to have to so heavily edit our show because I would just you know what I mean? And you build up the muscle of
he
like
keeps it to himself. I know he probably.
This thing, so it's in the oven for months.
Do you struggle with code switching at all? So
that's a very interesting question.
So this is why I say that. I say that because, okay, when I have opportunity to talk on TV, like actual, like, you know, NBC, ABC, when I have those opportunities, I have to remember that I can't say the certain things that I would say on, say, Arrington's show. Like, let's just be honest, I say some ridiculous shit. Shit being one of them. So when you're on that network, you have the code switch. Is it hard for you to catch yourself when, say, versus podcast speak?
Yeah.
To Coast Live?
You know, first off, I want to acknowledge the inherent, the racial loadedness of the term code switching, because I have a lot of privilege being a white guy who gets to go on TV and talk, okay? And it's less of a problem for me. And that privilege is demonstrated by the fact that, like, no one has ever talked to me about how I conduct myself on TV. It's never happened.
Whoa.
When I got the job, I don't look like a normal, and I do segments that appear on our news programming as well. I don't look like a news guy. I got a beard with like a very thick mustache, right? And like this hair thing going on.
Glorious.
Thank you. But like, no one ever said anything to me. No, I never got checked, even like going into this somewhat high profile job, right? So I acknowledge that is like an experience that other people don't get to have. I would say that the code switching is less hard than I thought it would be, but it's a skill you build up.
Yeah.
You know, I went to Indian River High School. My colloquial language is not even how I'm talking right now, because this is an on-camera thing, and this is like TV Chandler, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's sort of a thing that happens in the back of your mind as opposed to the front of your mind. But yeah, I mean, we definitely had times on the podcast where we would accidentally slip and then have to go back. And you know what I mean? Because you're like, I can't say that. At this point where I'm at now, I've been talking into microphones for several years, and it's not that hard. And the pressure of being live on Coast Live, you're just always thinking about anything you say is filtered through several layers in your brain of like, is this going to be good for the segment? Is this good for the energy of the show? How much time do we have left? You know what I mean? So you're never really just speaking extemporaneously. It's always like you're trying to serve the higher function of the fact that this is a program that has like parameters we need to stay within. Does that make sense to answer the question? But yeah, the code switching is definitely a thing. I'm glad you hit on it.
I remember I was telling Chandler before we started recording, like, my very first time on Coast was April had interviewed me, and it was my first ever like TV interview. Nervous as hell. I'm pretty sure I puked and did more things after that. I was so, because I don't like speaking in, you know, for one, it's live. It's like in my head, I was, you know, radio interviews are so easy. It's so peaceful. It's comfortable. No one's really watching. Yeah, people are listening, but mentally, I'm not saying, okay, people are listening. But on camera, man, with those lights, I'm like,
no redos.
No redos. Yeah, but once, hey, that's your segment today.
Right.
But it was very nervous, and then on top of that, you know, who's hosting? April. Oh, okay. Oh God, it's not gonna be good. So, you know, it's very nervous, and you guys do it for, you know, for the full hour. And every time I, you know, go on, I get more comfortable, and I'm really excited that you're one of the co-hosts now, because at the time I was talking about beard care products to two females. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, which, you know, hey, they're gonna buy for their husbands, but it's like, okay, now I can speak to a fellow, you know, brother with facial hair. So it's like I can't, you know, it was very difficult, but I could definitely imagine as far as speaking in front of like live, it's just
you have to just not think about it.
How can you not though? Like at least for me, I'm like.
It helps that it's a job, and for you it's like an opportunity that you've worked for, and you're like, you have a goal you need to accomplish. And for me, it's like, well, I got to get it done because this is like what pays the bills. So you file it into a different cabinet in your brain. And you just can't think about that, you know. I mean, really, there's tens of thousands of people watching every episode, but like, I just don't think about it like that, because really, it's like 8 people in a room. It's just like doing this, and it actually doesn't really feel any different in practice to me, because that's like my home base. And also, you're talking about, you know, you've done 8 segments so far on Coast Live, and you know, I do 8 segments worth in one day, so it's just the learning curve is fast. You know, you just have to adapt. And I'm very fortunate that it has come somewhat easily for me. I didn't know that it's a skill set that I had. I've really enjoyed figuring out that this is a thing that I'm okay at. But it's so much fun. That's the top thing. I mean, it's the most fun I've ever had at work. And that hour each day, you know, outside of that, working at a TV station is like emailing and taking phone calls and having meetings, and like sweating in a wool suit all day. But like the hour that we do the show is just an absolute blast. But yeah, so I'm just extremely lucky, and this is so crazy. I'm used to doing a podcast where I'm like the one interviewing people and talking to people. I'm like extremely uncomfortable that we're talking about.
Enjoy.
Not the fact that there's a room full of Negroes all staring at you. Waiting for you to slip up at any moment so we could be like, you monster. No, I like it. I like it, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Hey, I'll be the first to say it, fellas. I got tons of black friends.
I know my name. I know exactly
When I don't even lock my doors driving through a dangerous
So I want to ask, before it's over, I want to ask, so now that you realize you have this skill, right?
Sure.
Obviously, and you're funny, so that's from a comedian's check in the box. You're hilarious.
Thank you.
You're good on camera.
That's a huge
now you have to
compliment
experiment. Right, because I'm a historical genius. Like, I don't, man, it's crazy. Do you want to go farther? Like, if you have the opportunity, why not? Or are you chasing something bigger?
That's a
or
good question.
contractually you can't say?
I can, I think. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. My life has all been things that I didn't plan. So, everyone has their own strategy for setting goals and achieving them and stuff. I'm definitely not like one of those like speak it into existence guys. I think I'm more of a do the best I can at whatever role I'm in. And just look a little bit down the road at whatever doors are there and go through the ones that I can open. And just try to make the best
I love that
decisions.
because at least I've always talking about like speaking into existence, and my family, they're speaking into existence. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Don't speak that negative. So hearing you say that is,
And no offense to the folks who think like that, but that just doesn't work for me. I'm one of the most negative people I know. And like I've still been able to do some cool stuff. So, I just think it's all about just being mindful and trying to know your place in the world. And if you want to advance, just keep your eyes open for the ways that, that you can do that. But I know we've talked so long and I've talked way too much about myself. Can we talk about movies a little bit?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm glad you said that. Moving on, I want you to say what does.
That's what they pay me for.
Well, because Act 3 podcast was really like a review. You review on movies, TV shows, things like that. So let's talk films, right? What's your thoughts on sequels? Are you a fan of sequels?
Yeah. I am. I love cinema, like the art form, and I love speaking like intellectually and academically about it because I think that it deserves that kind of conversation. Definitely. But I also love popular film, and like I go to the movies to see like all the big Marvel stuff. I haven't been inducted into the Fast and Furious franchise yet. That's one that I don't really understand. I'm sorry. I'll get there one day. Funny story, I did see Hobbs and Shaw without seeing any of the...
I did not see that one. I will not see that one.
I saw it and it made no sense. I didn't understand what's going on. But
even if you watch the other Fast and Furious, don't think you're going to get some understanding. You won't. You will be just as lost as you are now.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, you just got to enjoy the explosions. That's all.
And the one car scene that they have.
And there's
core audience.
There's a scene in that movie where Dwayne Johnson like literally holds a helicopter down.
Thank you. That's why it started getting abnormal. Like
it's crazy.
And stuff like that. It's not real.
But yeah, no, sequels. Here's what I like about sequels. I like watching a team of creatives, and I mean like behind the camera and in front of the camera, because I view it very much as, it's a team effort. And I like watching, every sequel's a challenge. How can this team of creatives, and maybe they brought a new director in or new writers, or even they've switched out some of the cast, how can they keep this idea fresh? How can we plus up an initial film that was successful? And like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a great example of that. I mean, we're in the 25, 26-ish films now. I don't know the exact number. I guess I'm a bad fan. But like, it's amazing that like so many of them have been pretty good. Yeah. And like, there's only a few of them that are like, eh. And most of them are right on that middle line. And then there's a few, like Avengers Endgame to me is like a perfect film. And it's like 3 hours long, and it's kind of this like fantasy sci-fi epic that created this moment that will be memed on Instagram and Twitter for decades to come. And it's like it's so far into the franchise. You know what I mean? So I think that storytelling is really interesting on the big screen, and I love the problem solving of a sequel, and it's really exciting when you sit down and watch a sequel and you're like, okay, they figured it out. This is really
I think
good.
it's easier though to do the topping. So you said it yourself, when they're getting new cast, they're getting new people to be behind the scenes. I think those brains were already thinking of ways to make the film better when the original movie came out.
Right.
So when the first Avengers meetup happened, the director of the third or fourth was watching that and saying, "Ooh, but this is what I would have done.
This is what I can do with this."
So that's
it's
how
almost like you see it as a benefit rather than having the exact same person. Because I think with like the Transformer movies, I think they had a new. I want to say they had a new director for when
so it's
Mark Wahlberg started.
Michael Bay.
It's Michael Bay all the way up until Bumblebee. And then Bumblebee is probably the best Transformers movie.
Because you got someone that's
Exactly.
they weren't in the inner circle. They weren't in those conversations. They're completely on the outside looking at them. I went to school for cinematography.
Nice.
And so we were instructed to look at how people tackle these issues on making a cinematic movie better than the last. And it's sometimes the best movies are created by people who were completely away from the original movie. It didn't have nothing to do with it.
The biggest test will be Fast 9 because James Wan, he stepped down.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a really good director. Like he did Insidious and Conjuring and all that stuff, and like Fast and the Furious, and like he stepped down from this one, so we'll see. Because I haven't even seen Fast 8 yet, but I literally have all the movies. I started from the beginning when I was younger. And like,
It's like I might have saw it, but I don't know if it was Fast 8. Like I'm
just that Hobbs and Shaw was even a question. I'm not watching that.
Once I saw Bow Wow, I was done. I was like,
Tokyo was good.
I didn't give it a chance. Once I saw them braids, I was like, I'm done. It left me.
Isn't it crazy that you could be like Bow Wow and then be in a Fast and Furious movie and then still have to lie about flying first class?
Bow Wow challenge. No, shout out to Bow Wow.
Yeah.
I was listening to Lil
Shout out
Bow
to
Wow.
Shad. What's going on,
still
man?
looks his age at what? He's
Oh,
old,
man.
man.
Oh,
He looks good. He's doing great.
35.
I bought Bow Wow Unleashed, great album.
I got a t-shirt. I got a Bow Wow t-shirt.
Bow Wow, man.
That is funny.
No, but coming from your, background in TV and stuff, is it sometimes hard to just sit back and enjoy a film or a movie because you're always thinking about what I can do better or what I would do in there?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely changes the way you watch stuff, but I don't view that as a negative thing. I mean, like this, okay, I love Star Wars. It's like my main thing, okay? This new Obi-Wan show, Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney+. People love it.
Yeah.
I think the script is really good, and I enjoy where the story's going, but like, I don't like the way the show looks. And Deborah Chow, the director of all the episodes, she's a great director. And I love watching her in interviews. I think she's like a genius, but I just don't like the way that the show looks. I don't like the way it's cut. It does a lot of handheld camera. Like there's a fight scene between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Darth Vader, arguably the best villain in cinema history. And like it's shot with like an over-the-shoulder handheld. I don't agree with that choice, right? So yeah, sometimes like that, I'm like, and then no one wants to hear
Don't tell the Caucasian community, but that's how all Black people feel about Tyler Perry films. We love the story. We love it. We just can't stand how it looked, but we can't publicly complain about it because that's the only nigga we got. So it's
Even with the Tyler Perry films, though, I feel as though we all know how this movie is. That's why I've never really cared for like the rest of the movies. I'm like, I know
you don't understand. So
the most recent ones I will go.
The first movie I ever worked on, I was the guy in charge of keeping track of everyone's outfit. So before someone would get on scene or off scene, I would take a picture, document what they were wearing.
That's why all those socks were missing.
You know what I mean?
We got 5 seconds.
In Tyler Perry, the hair would be in one way during the scene, but then the very next switchback, the very next response in the sentence, the hair was a completely different.
Oh, that was on Netflix. That one.
But it's with every film. Every film, it's something. Someone's wearing a tie 1 second, tie off the next. Someone's wearing socks 1 second, toes out the next. It's just, it drives me crazy.
It was like there was a meme I saw on the new Doctor Strange movie where like all these people are running through the street and the same guy's running by 5 times
every shot.
Like,
Part of me thinks like, maybe they're doing it on purpose because at this point they built their brand off of that. You know what I'm saying? No, but I mean, it's still working.
I get it.
It's still
He
working.
still has a huge audience. I think, like for me, Tyler Perry really I enjoy when he started doing more suspenseful films. Like he did Acrimony and
Temptation.
Temptation, A Fall from Grace.
Yeah.
When he does films like
Those
those
are good, but they all came in like the same 2 years. I'm like, bro, is this not the same movie?
But you absolutely right.
Same movie, same wigs. Like me, bro.
To that point, though, that's why I think maybe he's doing it on purpose because I mean, if you log in Twitter after one of those movies drops or whatever, everybody's talking about the wigs and whatever happens.
That's true.
At this point,
but it gets people to watch it.
It's like, hey,
he wants the views. He wants the views. I mean, it makes sense. Because
then people that haven't seen it are gonna be like, I've seen it on Twitter, so now I gotta see the movie. So boom, that's more money.
I'm not gonna go specifically watch a movie just to see their wigs change.
But I know some people. I'm just saying
it bothers me so much because you have all this money for a budget. You have all this money for a budget, and you choose to rush through a film for a month.
Right.
You choose to take that struggle of let's shoot this film in 2 months. You know what I mean?
I remember seeing they showed a picture of Tyler Perry. On his desk was all scripts of like different shows he had. I think he had maybe like 6 different shows on BET. All the scripts that he typed up were just in stacks right next to each other. So I'm pretty sure he's just like that person where
he's a hustler.
But I think delegation is a real thing.
Yes.
Delegation is one of the realest tools in your belt as someone who sits on his seat. There's so many talented motherfuckers out there. Come on now.
But then when you reach his level, right? Everybody talks about wealth or whatever. It's about being comfortable or whatever. This man is comfortable enough to really do. If he wants to keep writing, he can keep writing. If he wants to delegate it out, it's probably like from his vantage point, it's like I got all the money in the world. I don't have to keep doing this, but I enjoy doing it. So
that's true. And some of the stuff is like not that, but I'm seriously like I mean the only. I remember all his shows that I enjoyed.
Black people gonna hate us for talking about.
They probably are. They are. House of Pain. I
was just gonna say that's a good show.
House of Pain.
I like it.
I don't know. That's not good for me now. I might need to think of a new. No, I'm joking. I'm like, damn, that shit's off another one. But no, really, I thought House of Pain was funny because I liked the couple. I thought they were classic on their stage show. So I'm like, boom. Yeah, they were hilarious. And I was cool with that one. The Meet the Browns, I wasn't really crazy about that one. What did he do after that? Then he started doing more drama shows, The Oval.
But it's just what Jay said. It's like he'll duplicate the same content, dress it up different, and then call it same money.
So I saw y'all on the makers out there now.
Those shows are like always on TV. Like
they are.
I'm just thinking like I don't know how the compensation works as far as when the episode airs, whatever like that. But I gotta imagine they've been making a lot of money just off of how many times it comes on TV and stuff.
That's true. And all those network he's on what TBS, BET Plus,
like,
and
he on so many.
When he started on with the Have and the Have-Nots, I mean he has his hand in a lot of shows. But so what are some flops to you as far as like movies? What have been some flops? I want to hear about them.
Recent flops,
old flops. Was top? I have a flop.
Top 5 flops.
That's funny. I'm wearing my Paramount shirt because I'm going to go see Top Gun later tonight, and that's a Paramount movie. Also, if you have Paramount Plus, you can watch Coast Live. You can stream it.
That's true. That's true.
It's on the show in our area. It's tough to call to mind like movies that I hate because they just kind of like get replaced in my brain. I'll tell you what I did last night. I watched the first episode of Stranger Things, which you guys were just talking about, and I can't get down with Stranger Things. I gotta say, I think
like the first season.
I love season 1.
Okay.
In my opinion, Stranger Things, I would have made it an anthology show after that. I think there's nothing interesting about these characters anymore. I think the acting is great. The show has such a high budget because it's like Netflix's cash cow. The filmmaking is pretty good, but it just feels like a waste of my time. Like I just don't feel like the story's going anywhere. It's like the same plot is recycled every season, but it looks beautiful and it's got fun costumes. I'm a costume guy, so it's cool that she used to like work in that. I love all the period outfits and stuff. And man, I mean, I'm just watching Stranger Things. Season 4, episode 1. There's a great scene at the end that you guys were talking about, and it is like, wow, what a great scene. But like, the episode's an hour 15 minutes, and I was like raging because I was like, I wasted an hour and 15 minutes of like spinning tires in the mud is what it feels like, only to get like one good scene at the end that finally kicks the plot into gear. And I have no patience for that. And so this is actually something I was hoping we could talk about. You know, I'm not a TV guy. I don't really do shows because I like the storytelling economy of film. You got somewhere around 2 hours, could be more, could be less, to tell a story, beginning, middle, and end, all 3 acts. And that to me is thrilling because it's like, I don't know, you know, when you're doing a word problem in school, the problem is, it seems more difficult when there's more pieces to put in place, right? But actually that kind of helps you tailor the story. And so I think the fact that film is like, it's an open and shut case. You got it's one production and it's got to be done by the end of it. You got to get to a point where the story's ready to go. I love that about it. And I love seeing like, you know, you can feel watching a movie when you're like entering the 3rd act. And I'm like, all right, we probably got 15, 20 minutes left. How can they tie this up? That is exciting for me as somebody who, you know, I don't work on films. I've worked on a couple like short film productions, but it's sort of knowing how the sausage is made. It adds an extra dimension. So yeah, like what we were talking about earlier, it does kind of take it away and you get distracted by wigs and stuff. I mean, Doctor Strange too, we were just, you mentioned, Benedict Cumberbatch has a crazy looking wig on the whole movie. I'm like, this man's head is huge because they put this like, you know, he's got a good hairstyle, but in Doctor Strange 1, it's like his actual hair, I think. And then Doctor Strange 2, it's a terrible wig. That's distracting to me. But then there's also the fun stuff like they have a fight where they throw like musical notes at each other. Like they play a piano and musical notes float off of the keys and then they throw them at each other.
You lost me now.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm watching that and I'm like, whose idea was that? And how did they spend millions of dollars executing such a crazy idea?
Wasn't there a Kung Fu movie where these people were using like this Chinese string instrument and they would like throw the instrument note to cut the person up?
Well, no, it's not Crouching Tiger.
No, it was like a parody of
It's Kung Fu Hustle? Is it?
Kung Fu Hustle! They would have this. That's where they stole it from.
Yeah. And that kind of stuff is great. And so, yeah, that's, you know, you guys all seem like you really have a really insightful look into visual media and what goes into it. And I think that's hopefully what, you know, talking about this stuff, it inspires other people who are listening to the conversation to think maybe I should read some articles or listen to some interviews with creatives and get that insight into the process. Because I think it makes it so much more exciting. Yeah. And you should be critical of the stuff you're watching.
So you're big on Marvel now. I've been like highly critical on criticizing the newest the last Batman movie. I'm a Batman fan.
Mm-hmm.
I hated the last one.
You didn't like?
I didn't like it because and again, I'm not a Batman fan to like the freaking comic book era and like people that really are true Batman fans that know the whole storyline. But I didn't like when they started with the Affleck and then having Robert Pattinson playing. I just wasn't feeling like the whole, you know. Did you see the
I did see it. I didn't like Ben Affleck either, and I like Ben Affleck as an actor. I thought his Batman was bad. Christian Bale is my Batman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was the dopest one. So to see Pattinson, Robert Pattinson, wherever from Twilight, play that role. Now I understand they're going back to like Batman younger. I didn't see that one. Younger.
I didn't see it.
It's good.
I think it's. I didn't see it yet either. But
I mean,
what don't you like about it? What feels wrong and untrue to the character to you?
Pattinson. To me, he brought Twilight to Batman. His whole thing was just like, no, yes.
That's a very good impression. That's really good.
Eyes squinting the whole time. He's driving this crappy ass motorcycle. It's dark. There's no daytime in Gotham. I'm pretty sure Gotham has some kind of sunlight. So it's throughout the whole entire film was like that. And at least, you know, Christian Bale kind of gave you that, hey, playboyish, you know, but I can go hard at night, but in the daytime I'm gonna party. Pattinson was like, yeah, he was always squinting. Just it really didn't make, and it was long.
Like, why are you squinting in his dark time? It's dark. Why are we?
It was like 3 hours and some change, and it was very long. They had brought Penguin in, which again I'm going back to like the Keaton era now when that Penguin and Catwoman. Zoe Kravitz did her thing as Catwoman, but it's just I wasn't feeling it, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna make another sequel of that one.
Batman is gonna be forever.
Absolutely.
The one that I did like the Batman vs Superman though. A lot of people didn't like it. I don't know why. I like that movie.
What does it for you in Batman v Superman? I mean, what do you like about it? Dawn of Justice, of course, is this subtitle.
I don't just like the whole I don't even know because it's been a minute since I've seen it, but just like the
Was it like
storyline
that?
of just them, because like nobody's really seen two like superheroes
That
like
is true.
literally
That is
fight
true.
like that. I thought that
That
was
is
cool.
true.
And then the whole what was it? The dude that you can't kill, he just keeps getting shot there.
Doomsday.
Yeah, like that whole scene was cool. When they were fighting.
Because it was that one kind of like the start of like, okay, now we're going into the Justice League era by bringing on that. So I guess that was why that was like their opening film to say, okay, look, now we're gonna start joining all these superheroes. They have the Avengers, now we're gonna do our thing over here in DC.
That's the storyline I really liked.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think the cool thing about where superhero films are at right now in the film industry, and there's probably way too many of them. The market's oversaturated. But if you don't like I don't like Batman v Superman, but you do, and I liked the Robert Pattinson Batman pretty good, but you didn't like it. But in a few years, the formula is going to get shaken up and reinvented anyway. And I think it's interesting to see different ways of tackling the same material. It's just like, where there will be a new Spider-Man every 10 or so years, and the same with Superman, and that's part of the fun. And I don't have to like all of it, I guess. Especially now that everything's like all about multiverse, they want to make sure that they all exist at the same time.
That's true.
Because the Flash movie, Michael Keaton is coming back to play Batman.
I heard about that.
So
Keaton is the shit, though. I'm sorry, Michael Keaton. He played Batman. I mean, he was a commencement speaker at I forgot which university, but he ended off his speech by saying, "I'm Batman."
Nice.
Yeah. Everybody went crazy. He's the best one. But anyway, Chandler, we gotta have a part 2. We gotta bring you back. We really do.
Yeah, we've been talking for a long time.
Way too long. I'm sorry.
I truly appreciate you, putting out the time on your busy schedule to
She didn't see an app for it.
I got you.
Sorry.
But I truly appreciate you coming over here. I know you're a busy man. Where can we continue to follow, support all the future things you got going on?
It's really just 2 things. I have an Instagram at Chandler Nunnally, and I post, somewhat regularly there. But the best thing to do is turn on your TV or fire up Paramount Plus and watch Coast Live weekdays at 9. We have a lot of fun on that show. We highlight really cool stuff in the community. But my favorite thing about it is, getting to talk to different kinds of people. In a fun environment. I invite people to have fun, and it's not like we don't get serious, but I aim to make sure that the viewers get to walk away from the show every day feeling good, like they had a good time for 56 minutes or so. So yeah, find me there. And Arrington, I'm so happy to be on this show, man. This is you guys are so funny.
It's a team effort, man. It's a team effort. It's not just me. Trust me, you'll be very dry.
Well, thank you all so much. This has been awesome. And again, thanks to Ingenious Jim.
Ingenious. That's right, our spot. There we go.
He wasn't here to do it, so I did it.
Look, we're about to end it off. Look, we gotta end off with a toast, fellas. Go ahead, Corey. Everybody got a little toast.
See, he doesn't know yet. You gotta save it.
I'm sorry, I'm still new.
It's all good.
So, what is this, my 3rd show now? I'm sorry.
I got the air.
He don't even have
You ever had a cup of soda?
What do you call it? He's a man.
Do you know what this show is about?
I'm tired of being myself.
Yeah, I was told this was a main part of this whole
I feel like this is a show suspension. This is a show suspension.
2-week suspension. Look, cheers to y'all. Cheers to Chandler, man. Cheers to another great show.
Thank you.
Hey, our Smooth Club, be tuned into another great episode.